Hey, what's going on? Welcome back to this channel where this is week 2 of the Language Tip Tuesdays. Thank you for joining in. Hopefully you watched last week's episode where we spoke about motivation and just basically trying to keep your motivation up while learning a language. Today we got a new episode, new tip. So for today's episode I wanted to really talk about learning vocabulary as a whole, and more specifically learning relevant vocabulary for you. So when you're learning a new language, you are not going out there to learn a language with the goal in mind of learning every single word in that language. That's just impossible. You're not going to learn every single word in that language. You don't even learn that many words in your own native language. There are certainly words almost on a daily basis that I come across in English when I'm reading books and stuff, for example, which I have no idea what these words mean, and I'm almost sure I've never come across them before. And that's totally fine because there are almost tiers of words. You have like beginner words or just daily use words. You have like those really advanced, almost seldom used words that maybe scientists will use or something like that. So there's all these sort of different tiers of words in your own native language, and there's going to be the same sort of format or layout for the language you're wanting to learn. In this case, like in my case, I will use Spanish or Polish as an example because I'm learning those two languages. For your case, it may be any other language that's out there, basically your target language. So what do I mean when I say learn the relevant vocabulary? So if you're learning a language, you don't want to learn every single word in the dictionary. That's wrong, and also will take you way too many hours to learn. It will take basically too much of your time. You want to get to a conversational level in your target language really as soon as possible. To learn vocabulary that's important to you, that you're going to be using on a daily basis or almost every conversation basis, is going to be way more important for you than learning words that you're never ever going to use, for example. Now, it's important to learn these words when you hear them, but not so much when you're using them. And again, I want to try and stress this and try and explain it as easy as possible to learn vocabulary that's relevant for you, relevant vocabulary. So let's say, for example, you want to talk about computers or technology in general, and you're learning Spanish. So when you're learning Spanish, try and find words that are relevant to that topic of technology: computer, desk screen, keyboard, mouse, etc. You learn these words, and then obviously you can speak about it. A good way to learn these words is by reading a lot on these topics. Maybe you've found an article in your target language that's going to be speaking about computers and electronics and technology in general. This is a good tip. Just read as much as you can in that topic and focus in on that topic, that's relevant for you. If you're moving to Spain and then you have a job in the music industry, then obviously you don't want to learn about technology as much as you do want to learn about the vocabulary around music in general. Maybe you want to learn the different types of genres or even the word for genre itself. I think you get the idea with this, basically learn what you can within that small section of the target language that you're trying to learn. Once you've really pinpointed and nailed down basically every bit of grammar or every bit of every word that you can use within that small subtopic of the language you're trying to learn, for example, computers or technology, and then once you're at the point of where you can read articles based on that topic in your target language without struggling too much, or maybe there's one or two words every time that you see, but otherwise you remember the word for screen and keyboard, etc., and whatever topic you're choosing, then I would say move on to a new topic, something else that you also would like to talk about, and then focus in on that one while still maintaining your words for the original topic. So in my case, I like to talk about technology, I like to talk about YouTube, I like to talk about travel, I like to talk about languages, I like to talk about books, and there's a whole host of other things that I like to talk about. And really, I guess more niche you can get it, and the more useful it's going to be for you, the better. The more niche it is means that the less vocabulary that you have to potentially learn, but it's good because the less vocabulary that you come across, the more you actually see the same words, and therefore, especially at the beginning of a language when you're learning it, you see less words but more frequency of the words you're seeing, and therefore hopefully you should pick up and remember those words easier. As another example, if you wanted to talk about the sea or the beach in general, then obviously you want to learn words like sun, sand, sea, beach, you know, maybe sunny, outdoor exercise, all these words and adjectives and nouns, etc., that are surrounding this one activity. And I think the more you do this, the better you get at like understanding and remembering words. And so when you really know one topic, you move on to another topic. It's not like starting fresh in that same topic. You're going to know all the base words. You're going to know the words that are similar in both topics that you're looking at, or no matter how many topics you go into, there's still going to be like words that connect. And the more you learn, then the more you know, and so the less you will have to learn in future. It will then just be like those very specific words in that subcategory. So for example, if I went my whole like learning career in languages without ever coming across like a car mechanic, for example, then obviously I wouldn't know how to say half the words that I'll need to use. I wouldn't know how to say tire or pump or mechanic or anything like this that's surrounding this topic, because I wouldn't have done my time to learn that topic. But in most people's cases, you don't even need to learn these words for car mechanics unless one, you're going to become a car mechanic in the country that you want to move to, or two, maybe if you've broken down, then it'll be useful to use. But that's a very almost like situation that won't happen to many people, although it could happen, you never know. But in that situation, maybe you can spend 5 minutes to quickly learn these words. But topics that are going to be very useful for you, you need to really sit down and like try and brainstorm a few ideas, a few things like I just reeled off to you a minute ago. For me personally, it's things like culture, languages, YouTube, music, etc. These sort of things I really enjoy wholeheartedly, and these are things that I talk about in my day-to-day here in the UK. And so why wouldn't I speak about the same things that I speak about in my native language but in my target language? So you need to be aware of like how you speak or what you speak about in your day to day, and think, are these the sort of things that I would speak to someone in my target language, someone in Spanish or in Poland, for example? And if so, then you need to start looking at learning this vocabulary. Good way to find articles and things like that based on these topics is to actually Google in your target language whatever it is you're trying to look for. So for example, if you're wanting to learn about music in Polish, you would want to Google muzika. I think that's how you pronounce it. Muzika, and then obviously whichever words you want to follow, whether it's like rock music or pop music or I don't know, something like that, as an example. Then obviously you would maybe use Google Translate in this case to put in what you would normally search for in your native language. In my case, English. I would type in something like, rock music, for example, in Google Translate, and then it would then translate into the Polish or in Spanish or in whatever other language you're trying to learn. Then you would then copy and paste that phrase into Google Translate, into Google Search even, and then once it's pasted into Google Search, you then see all the results. It should all be things within the language you just searched in. And then from there, you just find something that you're interested in, either just read through it, or you can use something like a link where you can import it and then read through it, and then it will obviously help you translate and everything else there as well. So that's really my tips for learning vocabulary that's relevant to you. I wouldn't waste time trying to learn this really convoluted language that you're never going to use. Obviously it's good to know words. It's good to know as many words as possible, regardless of the topic or theme that they're surrounding, because when you're speaking to someone, you might be talking about music 1 minute, and then the next minute they've gone onto a topic you've never done any research in. And so it's important to try to diverse your topics as much as possible. But ultimately, the most important thing is, as long as you can speak about the topics you're interested in, if you can't understand everything from somebody when they're speaking to you, you can always tell them to slow down. You can always tell them to maybe change the topic to something that you can understand, because you don't understand what they're talking about, etc. So, I mean, there are always ways around it, and obviously you can never learn a language 100% completed or anything, because again, your own native language, you definitely don't know every single word in your native language. I can guarantee that. That's everything that I can think of at the moment in relation to this topic. If you have anything else to add to this, please do put them down in the comment section below, and also just put any future suggestions for Language Tip Tuesdays that you can put down in the comment section as well that I can then do in the future. Because again, I'm sure I've got something or some input to put into most things when it comes to language learning, anything related to that. So I think it's important to like talk about this type of thing, and I think it helps to give motivation as well, just to like talk about this type of thing and whatever. So anything that you feel like needs to be added to this video, please do put down in the comment section below. Keep it civil. Obviously, everything I speak about in these videos are just like my own opinion, everything that I just sort of come off the top of my head. So yeah, with that being said, thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you guys next time for another video, and hopefully for the next video of Language Learning Tuesday, which will be next Tuesday, of course. These are every week. Anyway, thank you and peace out.